Hey everybody, welcome back to On Stage, Off Stage. I'm your host, George Sapio, and this is a special episode. This will be number 183, October 2024, and the second of our creepy plays for October. This play is called Where Do We Go? It's by Raymond Alvin. The character of Danny is played by Sean Kimber, and Charlie is played by, well, me. As the play opens, Danny and Charlie are sleeping next to a campfire. It is very silent.
Ah!
The hell was that? Danny, you alright?
Christ!
What is it?
Jesus, I was just somewhere I didn't want to be.
Jeez, you had me pissing up a tree.
Hey, Charlie,
Yeah.
can you can you do me a favor? Can you please check and tell me I'm not dead?
What are you talking about? You just had a bad dream.
I know, but I'd like to hear you say it anyway.
Danny, you were dreaming.
Can't you just once do what I asked and just let me hear you say it?
Ugh. You are not dead. Okay?
I got the sweats. My heart is racing now. I feel like I'm gonna expire.
People don't expire, Danny. A carton of milk expires.
I feel like a Hostess Twinkie way past my expiration date.
You're not dying.
Lipsky's got a contract out on me.
You're getting yourself all worked up again.
Oh, I'm gonna die. I know it.
No, you're not. Now go back to sleep.
Sleep? Sleep? You want me to close my eyes? To be unconscious for 8 hours and have no control over where I'm going? What if I don't wake up?
I'm right beside you, ain't I?
Oh, Jesus, Charlie.
Uh, who's your best buddy?
You are.
Okay, then.
It's not okay. It's not okay. None of it is okay.
You want me to help you or not?
You've got to tell Lipsky I had a temporary lapse of judgment. There was nothing personal in it.
I told you I'm going to take care of it.
I made a mistake.
You took his money. That's more than a mistake. That's fucking harikari. Of all the people you had to fuck with, you had to pick Ed Lipsky?
I didn't steal it. I borrowed it with every intention of paying it back.
You think he's gonna buy that?
Well, what am I gonna do?
Just like I told you. We're catching the next freight and getting you the fuck out of town.
Tell him I give him my word.
Danny, I'm sorry, but your word don't mean much right now.
Well, if that's true, then what are you doing here?
What's that supposed to mean?
If I'm a dead man, why are you sticking around?
Uh, you want me to go?
How do I know that Lipsky didn't get to you first?
Okay, fine. If that's the way you feel, I'm leaving.
No. Wait a minute. I didn't mean it.
No. I don't need this crap.
Charlie, don't leave me. I'm in serious trouble.
You think I'm trying to finger you? Is that what you think? Why the hell would I leave a warm bed, a semi-beautiful wife, and my kids just to camp out in a shithole in Jersey?
It's just that I don't know what to think.
Look, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Do what?
Be your friend.
Then then I'll be your friend.
No. You'll be my friend when you're in trouble.
Charlie, it's just the fear talking. I'm sorry.
Bunch of bullshit.
I'm sorry. I apologize. It's just that I don't suddenly want to disappear from the face of the earth, even if I am in Jersey.
Yeah, well, that's life. Sometimes you're the bird, sometimes you're the windshield.
Hey, Charlie,
What?
will you do me a favor?
No. No more favors.
Please?
It's late.
Come on, Charlie.
Ah! If I do, will you stop?
I promise.
This is the last time, Danny. You hear me?
Okay, okay. Tell me what happens when we die.
You go down this long hallway.
And then what?
There's this bright light that you follow.
The light. The light.
Yeah, it's not just any light. It's warm and friendly.
And?
It surrounds you. 'Cause it's like being in your mother's arms.
Then what?
You keep following the light.
For how long, Charlie?
I can't really say, except it's long.
Yeah, but how long?
I didn't bring a tape measure, okay?
Come on, Charlie, you're smart. You went to night school, you know stuff. What happens next?
You just keep walking. And before you know it, you get to where you're going.
Where's that? Heaven?
Now, I told you, heaven don't exist.
Well, don't we get to see our departed relatives on the other side?
Why the fuck would you want to see your departed relatives for? They'd only start an argument like they did when you was alive.
Well, there's got to be some place we go to, not just some hallway, for Christ's sake. Isn't there a bridge somewhere you gotta cross?
I am not going to have a conversation with you at 3 in the morning about what happens when we die.
That doesn't that bother you? That when it happens, you won't know anything or be anything?
Look, Danny, I didn't design the universe. If I did, I would have put in a clause that says the sun always shines and you hear Connie Francis's greatest hits.
You know what I think?
Mm.
I think we've been bamboozled, Charlie. When a person gets born into this rotten world, they tell them everything's gonna be all right. But they never teach you how to die.
That's because there's nothing to teach. You just close your eyes and let nature punch your ticket.
We're trapped like rats. That's what we are, you know.
Yeah. Being dead ain't the worst thing in the world.
I always thought that there was heaven.
I told you, it's a myth.
But it's in the Bible.
Yeah. Heaven was invented by people so they wouldn't crap their pants. It was designed strictly as a sanitary measure.
I was hoping to see my dog on the other side. And now you're telling me that there ain't no other side.
Okay. So, maybe, somewhere, there is another side that I don't know about.
You mean you might be wrong?
I don't think I am, but let's just say there is another side where you can meet and greet all your fucking relatives. And your dog, okay? Would that make you feel any better?
Hell yeah. It really would, Charlie. It would give me something to look forward to.
Okay. So there's another side. Now, can we go back to sleep?
You're not just bullshitting me, are you, Charlie?
I just said maybe. What more do you want? Get some shut eye.
Night, Charlie. I feel better already.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, Charlie.
What?
I'm sorry I said what I said about you before.
Forget
I I think that's why you and me are such good friends, because we remember when we were kids and how we looked out for one another.
it. That was a long time ago.
I'm glad I got a friend like you, Charlie.
Yeah.
If if I don't make it back, Charlie, will you look after my cat?
You ain't going anywheres. You dopey bastard. That was Where Do We Go by Raymond Alvin. The cast was Danny, played by Sean Kimber, and Charlie, played by your humble host. So, one of the first questions I asked Raymond when he stopped by to have a chat with us was, hey, what made you write this? And in the interest of full disclosure, the tapping noise you're going to hear during this next interview was Raymond Alvin's upstairs neighbor suddenly deciding he wanted to fix his air conditioner. Yeah, okay, we have to do this play just because it's so good, and I've heard it at least twice, and I've loved it every time. So it was a natural, and of course, I had to pick something that I wanted to act in. So hey, there we go. Where did this play come from? What made you write it?
Well, I was lucky that it just popped out of my head as usual when I write. If I come up with an idea, I'm lucky. I come from a section of Brooklyn that had a lot of low-level gangsters, but the area was notorious. Being that it was a lower middle-class neighborhood, there were a lot of people that were closely tied in with one another. It was not uncommon to find best friends amongst several of the guys in the neighborhood. And being a best friend entailed a certain amount of responsibility and certain behaviors. And when that came up against business, there was usually something interesting to see.
Friendship versus business, because business entails a whole lot of different things.
Concept of having a best friend was an enormous responsibility. It entailed a lot of things that you didn't expect. You found out quickly who was on your side and who wasn't.
Because that could change from day to day.
And in the play, as you know, it's about two guys that are best friends who come up against a lot of challenges with one another.
These are lifelong friends, right? I get the feeling Charlie's been taking care of Danny for most of his life.
Yeah, he's pretty much looked out for him because Danny's not the sharpest pencil in the box. And Charlie is pretty self-inflated, so he kind of is the guy to get something done.
And it's not an assignment you can turn down.
No, he's kind of a know-it-all in one sense, and he has his own opinions about certain things, very firm concepts about what's what in this world and how life works, how the world works. And Danny is always given into emotion and pretty clueless.
But he seems like a nice, honest kind of guy. Except for the fact that he just ripped off.
He ripped off a guy that he should never have ripped off. He is a crime boss.
So is this play a standalone or is this part of something bigger?
It's both. It's a standalone play, and I experimented with it recently and made it part of a larger piece. So there are a couple of extra scenes that happen after the play finishes. This is the opening scene. But it's a standalone play to answer your question, but I've added on extra baggage at the end to take it further.
How big do you think it will get?
It's a good question. A lot of times, as a writer, you run out of material. You wonder what direction to take it to. An idea occurs, and sometimes it doesn't. So right now, I'm at the middle of the idea of taking it further or whether to stop.
Gotcha. I think a lot of playwrights have those plays that they're working on that they're not ready to put out there just yet. Or like in your case, you've got a great 10-minute play, but the play itself wants to keep growing. And it's not telling you how fast it wants to grow or when it's going to grow, but it just, when you're not looking, something else comes into your head and you've got to write it down.
Right, and it has to do with the relationship between the two men, the responsibility and the affection versus business. Business that we're taking care of here.
The one thing that was hanging over at me when I read this was, what exactly is Charlie's role in this? Because it's never explained fully, and we leave it to doubt. I mean, these two have been lifelong friends. What's Charlie's, does he have an assignment? Does he have a responsibility to assist in the rectification of this particular situation? And how does that affect Danny? If it is he going to do it? You kind of leave us at the end with this one. I think it's a good thing because I'd like to think more about these two characters and what their relationship is.
Well, you've come up with your own conclusions. At the end of the play, it's whether or not he's going to execute his role in the relationship.
Because if he
doesn't do it, as the play ends, just into other territory to just find out if he is going to eventually fulfill that part of the relationship.
That's a very hard assignment to carry out.
It is.
How long have you been writing plays?
I've been writing plays the last 20 years, and they either go somewhere or they don't. And you have to be lucky that you come up with a good ending.
Yeah, I think that's the critical piece, is nailing the ending.
What it evolves into, and what do you say as a writer with the piece? That's always a big issue for me, is what are you trying to say with it? The characters talk about themselves indefinitely.
Do you write waiting for the ending to come, or do you mostly know the endings before you start to write?
Depends on the project. Sometimes I know the ending. Sometimes, most of the time, I don't. I go where the characters take me. And that can be to many dead-end streets.
Sure.
Also be a fruitful ending where they take me where I didn't expect to go. So I'm always surprised by one thing or another. I don't think you can try to hang some false ending onto a piece without it looking as such.
I generally almost never pick up a pen until I know what the ending is going to be, because to me, the ending is the most important part of the play.
And that makes a lot of sense.
So you tend to trust your characters to lead you to a place that's going to be fulfilling.
Well, part of the time I do, and like you, there are times when I know the ending.
So you're not just a playwright. You are a man of many aspirations here. Filmmaker, poet, author. How did you start writing, and what did you want to write when you first decided to tell stories?
I first started to learn to write in grammar school. They were handing out books that we had to read and had to finish a book report on any given book. And I never would read the books. And what was interesting is that when the story came back, I got a good mark. So it encouraged me to keep writing. And that's why I came up with these things out of my imagination. I think the teachers believed I was reading a book of some kind,
but sounds to me like you were the kid who told the best stories.
I tried to. I mean, I couldn't speak the best stories off the top of my head, but something happened when I started to write. I became more articulate.
Ah, okay.
That's why the whole idea of being interviewed was frightening to me, because a lot of times I don't have an awful lot to say.
Yeah, being interviewed is putting yourself on the spot. But
I read something of yours when you first came into the group.
Yeah.
It was something that took place in Italy.
Right. Aqua Tofana. That was the first scenes of my play about a very famous female Roman poisoner. We're talking about New York Pages, by the way, folks. So this is how Ray and I originally met. NewYorkPages.org. It's a wonderful group of extremely talented writers who get together every week and bounce plays around. Little bits are read and comments are made. Plays grow, as do friendships and associations. And you were one of the voices that immediately stood out to me when I got there. You were writing about things that I kind of knew about, because I grew up in the Bronx, not too far from Arthur Avenue, which is kind of the same area that your characters come from.
My character, I grew up in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And not in a great section of Brooklyn. It was always considered tough. A lot of things happened on the streets that you never forgot. It was a neighborhood defined by stray animals, which is always revealing. People let their animals loose a lot of times.
That's a really interesting way of putting it, stray animals.
Yeah, it was not uncommon to see me feeding cats or dogs. People that played in the street. It's the other thing. They didn't have any spots to go into. So we played in the street, and we had to wait for the cars to pass. Kids would get hit by cars all the time.
I didn't see that so much. We played in the street as well. We played football, touch football, stick ball,
Punch.
Levio, tag, you name it. We played it. We used the entire block, especially the street. And yeah, waiting for the cars to go by was also a thing. You know.
Sewers in the street would be first base, second base, third base.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was what we had. There were no parks in our neighborhood.
If you had a ball go down the sewer, you had to know how to fish it out.
Absolutely. You send the smaller kid down to get it.
You could do that, or you used to take a wire hanger and unbend it. And you only needed a ball. That was usually called a Spalding.
Yep, I remember those. Absolutely. 23 cents, 23 cents at the corner store. You're also a filmmaker, so let's talk about that. What's your latest project? What are you working on?
Well, the last film I wrote and produced was a film called Things Ain't What They Used to Be. And it was about a guy who was growing into seniorhood, who was pretty much alone and defeated spiritually, who needed to get himself up to meet women, so to have a social life again. It was selected by Channel 13 to be broadcast on a Saturday night, and it was a short film under 10 minutes. And before that, I did a film called Sid's New Glasses, about a man that was used to seeing the world slightly out of focus, whose wife insisted that he get glasses that were new and brought everything into focus for him, which was his undoing. That changed when he realized that he had to see the world as it was, not what he envisioned it to be.
Ooh, that's a dangerous concept.
It's a short film as well that I produced and wrote.
Where did you learn filmmaking? Did you just pick it up as you went along?
Just did it. I mean, my background at one time was in video, and from video I went into filmmaking. I had the writing down on paper, and the hard part was putting it together. If I had known how much work it took, I don't think I would have done it.
Not easy stuff.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Filmmaking entails way more work than most people realize.
Anybody with an iPhone can make a movie.
Yeah, that's what's happening today.
I had to hire a crew, and it was wound up in editing and colorization. It was a huge amount of work. Raising the money for it was not easy too, because that put you in a whole new position of asking people for money.
Yeah.
Which is a thing to do as well.
So that's the hard part of being an artist, is always going out to get the money. Ray Alvin, this has been fun. Thank you so much for sitting in and talking about your work, and especially this amazing little play of yours, which we had so much fun putting together. Thank you so much for sending it in.
Thank you, George. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Hey kids, thanks for listening to Onstage Offstage. Onstage Offstage is produced monthly, and all of our shows can be found at onstageoffstage.org and also on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, and Google Podcasts. If you enjoy what we do, please recommend us to your friends. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at OnOffStage. And if you are a theater artist with an upcoming project or interest, or know of someone in the theater world who'd make good chat, by all means, send us a note at onstageoffstagepodcast@gmail.com. Our theme music is Don't Worry, Be Frappy by the composer Max Dickinson. You can find a lot more of Max's magnificent music on SoundCloud. I'm George Sapio. Thanks once again for listening, and please be kind to those with whom we share this rock. And as always, happy theatering to all of you.